All right, everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Lang. That's a little REO Speedwagon, roll with the changes. Figured it's a celebratory song for a celebration for me anyway. Sorry I started a little later than I wanted to. It was having trouble syncing up the song, and then I realized my bottom fourth or lower third is all screwed up. See, I wrote something out and it was really cool and it was working fine, and all of a sudden it just disappeared. See, now I do this and it's not there. And I do this and I'm back to normal. So I'm just going to go this way and see with this. So what's going on, everybody? Let's see. It is September 16th, a day after my 4-year anniversary. 4 years, 208 episodes. Who'd have thunk it? And I started this back in 2013 on September 15, 2013. I didn't expect any of this to happen. But here I am, 207 episodes later with episode 208, 4 years in the books, starting on year 5 now. Actually, year 5 starts next week. This is the end. This is my New Year's Eve episode. So, but as expected, I am under the weather now, so I am having nasal issues. I may be coughing and sneezing during the episode, so please forgive me for that. Plus, I'm going to try not to do a really long episode today. I don't really have a lot going on. I was going to do a lot more with anniversary stuff, but I was like, you know what? I'm just not feeling it right now. So actually, no, I think I need to find something real quick. So just hold on there a second. You just wait right there. I should have been more prepared. Still here. Hello. I'm here, one viewer. Don't worry. Don't go away. Don't leave me. Sorry about that. This is the last time I just wasn't fully synced because there's something I want to talk about a little later today, and I figured I better have something to talk about to remind myself about it. So we're going to talk about some anniversary stuff. Hi, baby. Talk about some anniversary stuff. Couple of deaths this week. A little bit about memory lane, some food stuff, holiday stuff, a follow-up to my announcement that I made on the snooze. For those who didn't see the episode of the snooze on Thursday, I will reiterate my announcement. So I'll get to that too. Some other news stories as well. Some that might piss you off, some that might make you cheer, some that might make you cry, and a whole bunch of stuff. So let's just get started real quick so we can get moving right along. First up, what should we do? 4 years. If you go to any website or whatever, and you see what your present for your 4th wedding anniversary is, I went to say, hey, let's see what it is. Pretty interesting. For your 4th wedding anniversary, and I guess this is my 4th year, so it's technically my wedding anniversary. Not really. My wedding anniversary is October 4th. It's going to be my 14th. Yeah, 14th wedding anniversary. So I don't know what that is yet. I'll look that up and then I'll find a gift for Dawn that fits that. But for the 4-year anniversary, the traditional U.S. gift is linen and silk. So I'm wearing silk underwear today. Not going to show you because that's just weird, right? I should mute myself next time I cough. In the UK, however, the 4th wedding gift is fruit. And, well, I guess this is kind of fruit. I'm drinking some apple cider, so it's a seasonal beverage. I've had better. Still good, though. So that's interesting. That's in the UK only. And then the modern day stuff, the modern wedding anniversary is electrical appliances. So maybe I need to buy myself a new computer. No, don't break down computer. I don't want you to do that. We've been having some issues with you anyway, and I don't want that to happen. So that's what those are. So pretty cool about that. While we're on the subject, let's do some Check iDay stuff real quick. Let's do it early today. There's a website called Check iDay. They're also on Twitter, and they basically tell you which holidays are today, and there are a ton of them. Every day is a holiday, literally. Every day has some bizarre holiday that you never expected, and then you have the ones that are normal also. So give me 1 second. I'm going to cough really, really loud. Where are you? Invite people. No, sorry about that. So there's a weird, when I looked at it today, there is a lot today, and I guess September 16th is a big deal. So we're going to find out what they are. You guys are going to find out what they are. But yeah, check iDay, checkiday.com. Check that in your search engine, or go to Twitter and do @checkiday, CheckIday. This week, today, it's Ann Bradstreet Day, who I don't know who that is. It's Big Whopper Liar Day. Okay. It's Boys and Girls Club Day for kids. It's International Coastal Cleanup Day. It's International Day for the Preservation of the Ozone Layer. It's International Eat an Apple Day. I'm drinking apple cider. I guess that's good enough. It's Mayflower Day. I guess the Mayflower left England, and it took a couple months to get over here. It makes sense, I guess. It's Mexican Independence Day. Woohoo! It's National Cinnamon Raisin Bread Day. It's National Cleanup Day. I did some of that in my mom's house today. It's National Collect Rocks Day. It's National Day of Prayer and Remembrance for the victims of Hurricane Katrina. It's National Guacamole Day, which happens to fall on Mexico's Independence Day. But guacamole's good. National Gymnastics Day. National Play-Doh Day. National Stay Away from Seattle Day. What? I got friends in Seattle, and I like Seattle. I like Seattle a lot. It says it's National Stay Away from Seattle Day. Weird. It's National Tattoo Story Day. So I guess, you tell stories about your tattoos, so you have some. It's Puppy Mill Awareness Day. We were at Dog Fest today, which isn't a puppy mill. It's our animal rescue place up here. It was their fundraiser. And it's an event for people who had dogs, and they have activities for the dogs and stuff. It's really quite cute. It's also Responsible Dog Ownership Day, so that's pretty cool. It's Software Freedom Day. It's Step Family Day. I went to my mom's house to help clean up after my stepdad, who passed away a couple weeks ago. It's Thank a Police Officer Day. It's Trail of Tears Commemoration Day. It's Working Parents Day. It's Wrinkled Raincoat Day. So that's a lot of days for today. Yesterday was Google.com Day, Greenpeace Day, International Day of Democracy, International Dot Day. It's Make a Hat Day was yesterday. National Caregivers Day, National Cheese Toast Day. National Creme de Menthe Day was yesterday. National Double Cheeseburger Day was yesterday. National Felt Hat Day yesterday. National Hispanic Heritage Month, I guess, with the Mexican independence today. Yesterday was National Hug Your Boss Day. It was National Linguini Day yesterday. National Online Learning Day. National POW MIA Recognition Day was yesterday. National Tackle Kids Cancer Day. National Thank You Day was yesterday. National Tradesman Day was yesterday. Man, there's a lot yesterday also. Yesterday was also It's Someday Day. So that's it. And then tomorrow, let's check out what tomorrow is going to bring. And then we'll get on to the next level up there. So tomorrow, September 17th, is Constitution Day, also known as Citizenship Day, National Apple Dumpling Day, National Back to Church Sunday, which, yeah, kind of is, because religious education starts over again starting Monday for my kids. So I'll get in that in a little bit. National Monte Cristo Day. Now, I guess I'm wondering if that's the sandwich, because they also have the book. Also, the book's pretty good, but you'd think it'd be called the National Count of Monte Cristo Day if it was about the book. Monte Cristo is a sandwich, which on the surface sounds good. It's like ham and cheese or something on sourdough bread or something like that. But it was a weird tasting. It's a weird tasting sandwich, and as I said, on the surface, it sounds like a good idea, but it's a weird tasting day. So come on, come on, come on. All right, so we'll get past that. National Neighborhood Day, National Wife Appreciation Day. Oh no, I better tell Dawn that, or maybe I won't. National Women's Friendship Day, Time's Up Day, and that's it. So I guess the big one for tomorrow is it's National Wife Appreciation Day. So I guess I got to appreciate my wife somehow. Anyway, I appreciate my wife all the time. Anyway, she's gonna be selling popcorn tomorrow. Anyway, that's it for the Check I Day stuff. So definitely worth a checkout, and see the stuff. It's pretty interesting stuff. So Check I Day on Twitter and on Twitter and online. Because of all that, I lost my one viewer. So hey, whatever. You're gonna miss the rest of the show now. Anyway. So what's going on here? Blah, 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 blah. What should we talk about? Let's just go to the top. Peanut butter and chocolate Cheerios are going to be coming out soon. Cheerios, much like a lot of different foods now, they're starting to experiment more with different flavors. This Cheerios, there's also a pumpkin spice Cheerios out now. There's frosted Cheerios. There's just regular peanut butter Cheerios. There's chocolate peanut butter. So now they're just mixing the peanut butter and chocolate to do a peanut butter and chocolate Cheerios thing, which is going to come up really soon. I just saw the thing for it. I don't know when it's going to, the mention of it. I don't know when it's going to come out, but should be soon. I'm talking about apples. Apple Cheerios is actually pretty good too. I mean, it's not Apple Jack's good, but it's Apple Cheerios is pretty good. So we have that. Speaking of pumpkin spice, there is a pumpkin spice spray that you can put on anything to add pumpkin spice flavor. Look, I like pumpkin spice, but I'm not crazy insane for pumpkin spice. I mean, I have some pumpkin spice coffee, and I used to love pumpkin spice creamer, but over the last couple of years, it's just been really weak, and I haven't enjoyed it as much. And I don't know what changed. Did my taste change, or did they change the formula? I don't know. I mean, I've been drinking my Reese's peanut butter cup creamer with my coffee, and then I also got the salted caramel mocha creamer, which only comes out around this time of the year also, which is also really good. I'm going to break into that probably tomorrow, since it's just about done, the Reese's one. So I don't know. But what is good is, and this is a seasonal cookie as well. We've talked about Oreos and all the weird flavors they've been doing. Well, they released apple pie Oreos. So, being the guy I am, I decided to, suck it up for you guys. And I bought some. I ate some. I'm going to go back. I'm going to get some more, because the apple pie Oreos, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, A+++, whatever you want to call it. It's up there with the cinnamon bun one also, which is really, really good too. Yeah, regular Oreos are good. The chocolate ones, the vanilla ones are good and stuff like that. A lot of the new flavors are really, really good, and some are okay. But the apple pie one is really, really good. Really, really good. And the cinnamon bun one is also really, really good. But I just want to tell you, if you go to the grocery store tomorrow, next week, next month, and you happen to see Oreos, apple pie Oreos in your store, they should be there, because they're at Weiss, and I saw them also at Wegmans, I think. Definitely pick up their small container of them. So if you don't like them, you're not wasting like the family size ones. It's a small bin about that one. If you like them though, you're gonna breeze through them like nothing. They are so good. They are really, really that good. Switching gears a little bit, Fox News. I touched on this on my comic show last night a little bit, but I'm going to touch on a little bit more here. Fox News, who obviously I don't like, because of, if you watch the show, my stand on certain things. Fox News is getting their panties in a bind over the most recent issue of Superman, of all things. or the Action Comics, rather, the newest issue of Action Comics. I showed you the newest issue that came out on Wednesday, yesterday, on my Comic Hall show, and even talked about it and showed you the scene in the comic book, which is upsetting people. Now, we had some stuff happen earlier in the year with X-Men Gold, which got taken care of and really made news headlines also. But this also made news headlines. Basically, what happened was, in the story, there's a guy, white male, typical type Trump follower, viewer type of guy, who wants to kill illegal aliens, or who he assumes are illegal aliens. It's not mentioned overtly if they are illegal aliens. They just look foreign. So obviously, they look foreign. They're obviously got to be illegal aliens, which is bullshit, but that's besides the point. And that was what Dan Jurgens, the writer, was trying to go with. This guy was getting ready to murder like 4 or 5 of them in cold blood with a gun because they're illegal. And that's Trump America, to be honest. There are probably people out there right now who are knocking off people they think are illegal immigrants. I mean, they're illegal immigrants that are getting attacked. There's apparently now a serial killer in Baton Rouge who is attacking black people, running them down, chasing them, and shooting them to death for no other reason I can foresee except that they're black. Again, the asshole in chief, the asshole president we have, and his racist white supremacist views, which is utter bullshit, that whole story, but we're not going to get into that. And Superman swoops in and saves the day from these people getting killed in cold blood. And Fox News is saying, why is Superman protecting illegal aliens? Now think about that. Yes, it's in a comic book and it's fictional. But basically, Fox News is saying the white guy should have killed a bunch of illegal aliens with guns. Superman should have nothing to do with saving them. I wish I was making this up. I wish it was an Onion article. It's not. I showed the panel yesterday on my show, so go check out my Comic Hall episode, which I aired last night. I'll retweet it so you guys can see it. But just think about that. They're upset that Superman tried to save people's lives, and so happened to be foreign people's lives. They would prefer that Superman would not have saved a bunch of these human beings from getting massacred by a white extremist asshole. Yeah, you don't get it because it sounds like, okay, it's just Fox News talking about, a fictional scene in a comic. But dig a little deeper. They would have preferred if these illegal aliens were shot in cold blood. And that's the thing also, as Dan Jurgens said, they're not officially announced in the book as being illegal aliens. They just happen to look Mexican. So you're assuming they're illegal aliens, but what if they aren't? And that was the whole point. The white supremacist wanted to kill them because he thought they were illegal aliens. And then the biggest illegal alien of all, Superman, comes and saves them. And Fox News wanted fictional, innocent people to be killed by a white supremacist, asshole extremist. It might sound weird, but dig a little deeper in that story. That's disturbing. Just another long line of disturbing things that are going on in this world, which I wish would just not be happening right now. Speaking of disturbing things, $1,000 for a new iPhone. Are you insane? Look, I like my iPhone. All right, this is a 6, and I like it. But it might even be a 6S. I ain't paying $1,000 for nothing. I might put down the down payment for a car, but I'm not just going to go willy-nilly and say, you know what, I have $1,000. I'm going to buy a phone. It's just the greed, the craziness, because there are going to be people out there who have already signed up to pick it up for $1,000. And yeah, I'm sure there's probably deals out there you can make where you trade in your phone and you get like $200 back for your phone, and then you put that towards a new iPhone. But still makes it $800, which is still a lot of money. Or you added to a program or a deal or something like that, and maybe it won't be as much, but still a $1,000 phone. I mean, it's ridiculous that an iPhone costs upwards of $800 to $500, $800 anyway. It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous that something like that happens. But $1,000 for a phone? No. That's just a sign for me is I'm gonna probably pick up the 7. It's time to upgrade to the 7, maybe an 8. No, the 8 is brand new also. So that means you can upgrade to a 7 next year. I think is when I'm allowed to upgrade, and it won't affect our program we have. So I'll be able to get a new phone probably next February. So that'll be cool. I guess that's a good segue into what you missed. Hold on. Sorry about that. Good segue into what you missed on the snooze last night, or rather Thursday night. The snooze is a show I do with Tony Solo, who is the great grandfather, the father, or the creator of the Snark Alex group, which I am a part of, in which my 4-year show, Dylan Knows, spun off of Snark Alex Radio, and I have done more episodes than Snark Alex Radio did, which is surprising. Snark Alex Radio only lasted about 88 episodes, and they've had about 3 additional ones since then. So they're still under 100. I'm at 208 right now. And there's a bunch of other shows, Nurture and Support and Squat Cobbler. I don't think Bring Out Your Geek is happening anymore. Those were all spin-offs out of Snark Alex Radio. But Squat Cobbler and I just said it too, are other shows that are part of this, but they are not anywhere near me. So just saying. Nurture and Support was named the other one. But there was another show that I did that kind of came out of me doing this show, because I was like, okay, I can do this show. This is pretty cool. How about maybe I can do another one? But this time what I'll do is I'll make it a fictional show, and I will use my phone to film myself, because this has a video has a video camera in it. It's not a bad video camera. It's actually really good graphics, good good effects. The picture's clear. It looks good when you upload it to YouTube. So I created a show called The Assistant, which came out, let me think about this, in 2014, I think, about a year after I started this show. It was in September also, I think. It was September 2014, I believe, was when The Assistant first started. And the first season, I did a bunch of episodes. It's on my playlist. If you want to go to my YouTube page, and you go to my playlists, I have one for The Assistant that has every episode, plus the after show that my friends, the Snark Alex, did. Tony, Mike, and Kelly did. So we're episode, let's see. I originally did, I'm going through them right now. I originally did 47 episodes of The Assistant. And then I teased a second season about a year later, because I took it was hard. And I'll explain this. I teased the second season that lasted 2 episodes before I called it a day. I filmed another one which I never released for whatever reason. I guess I don't think I was happy with it. Oh no, I don't want to play it. I wasn't happy with it, I think, so that's why I didn't release it. And it's still in my my photo holding area. So I probably will release that one when eventually down the line, because I am now doing, I'm prepping a 3rd season of The Assistant right now. And I'm going to call it The Return. That's an homage to the Twin Peaks, The Return series. So what's going to happen is, there were 47 episodes of the original The Assistant, first season, and it sort of ended because I was running out of time doing the shows, because I would always shoot on the weekends, and the weekends started filling up, and I also I had a story idea, but I was sort of chasing my own tail because I had thrown a bunch of stuff in there now, and I had to get back to the main story, but I was finding it hard to do that and finding time to actually film the episodes because it's done totally improv. I do everything improv, and I was actually doing the story improv. I had a general storyline I wanted to do, but uh, I had trouble getting back to it. I was taking different tangents off here and there. So then I took about a year off. Might not even be that long. Might have been like 9 months off, and I announced via teaser a second season of The Assistant, and I had set up a whole new status quo for the second season. And again, I did 2 episodes, actually 3 technically, and again, I wasn't finding the time to do what I wanted to do. I didn't really have. I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't have a clear path to how I was going to do it. So again, I was chasing my own tail. And so after 2 episodes, and then after filming the third one, I was like, this isn't that great, and I'm just going to stop. So I just stopped The Assistant. And that went for a little bit over a year. Actually, it went over for longer than a year. That was in 2016, I think. January 2016, I filmed the last episode. 2015, Christmas was the last episode I actually produced and put on YouTube. The one I had filmed, I did in January of 2016. I didn't release yet. So it's been a long time since I've done it, almost 2 years. And it's going to be a little longer for the third season. I'm going to change it up a little bit. I've learned from mistakes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to actually do a linear story. I can say this is what you're going to do in each episode. I'm just going to give, this is what you need to do in that episode. How you get there is up to you and your improv skills there, Dylan. And I'll get to it. And that will lead to what I want to do. So once I get to the end of that story, it's going to hopefully wrap up all the loose ends that appeared in the 2 seasons that I did of The Assistant. So at some point, what I'm going to do then is, instead of releasing them when they get filmed, because I don't have the time to film them and stuff like that, I'll film them whenever I get a second. I will film them all before releasing them, and then once I have every episode filmed that I want, I will start releasing them. So we're looking at sometime next year, hopefully, if I can get started on this soon. I've already filmed an episode, just because the timing was just perfect and the setting was just perfect and exactly what I wanted to do. So I said, you know what, I got some time, let me just do it. So I already filmed an episode for the new season, but you're not going to see it probably till next year, because I want to get all the episodes filmed. I don't want to have a bunch of episodes. I don't want to film like an episode and then release it and then don't film another one for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then, oh yeah, by the way, here's another episode. No, I want to do it bam, 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 bam. And hopefully my friends Tony, Kelly, and Mike will do another after show called Talking Ass, which is what they did. Their Talking Ass episodes are also on the playlist for The Assistant. So about 49 episodes of the 49 episodes of The Assistant, 50 one that hasn't been released yet, and another one that hasn't been released yet. So 51 episodes I've got in the can. 49 of them I've released. 2 I've got on hold, and 1's for next season. So I don't know how many episodes it's going to be. I just need to get back to the story I wanted to tell in the first season, and I figured out a way to do it. That's why I'm telling you this now, because I had been thinking about the show for a while. It was always in the back of my mind, but sometimes when something just clicks in your head and your brain and it just affects you and you get into your body, you need to write it down. So that's why I came up with The Assistant, The Return. So that'll be coming up next year, and I'll be keeping you posted when I'm filming and stuff like that as well. So I'll probably be filming into next year also. So it might not be till the summer of next year, might not be till this time next year either. So we'll see. I mean, maybe I should make that my goal, because I released the first season in September. The second season was in November. So maybe I should either do October to get all the months in a row, or get it back to September again. So that was the big news about that. Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be returning for the new Halloween movie. Now, the original Halloween has always been one of my favorite horror films. I'm not a big horror film buff, but Halloween, the original one, has always been one of my favorite ones. And I watch it every Halloween. Halloween 2 was pretty good. It wasn't as good as the first one, obviously, but it was still pretty good and continued the story with Jamie Lee Curtis. Halloween 3 had nothing to do with Michael Myers and anything like that. Halloween 4 was actually, about 10 years later, and from the original Halloween, and it actually was a lot better. Still not as good as the original Halloween, obviously, but it was a lot better than I thought it was. And then the 5th Halloween movie was terrible, though it introduced an interesting wrinkle with a man in black driving around on a motorcycle, following after Michael Myers. The 6th one, they just decided to amp up the horror and the gore and do some other ridiculous story ideas. But it had Paul Rudd in it in one of his early roles, so that's pretty cool. But other than that, it's not a great one. Halloween H2O, which was the 20th anniversary show, which brought Laurie Strode's Jamie Lee Curtis character back to the Halloween mythos and basically saying the 4, 5, and 6 didn't happen. Followed that. That was actually a really good one also. And then the Halloween after that was awful. Terrible. It was awful. And then Rob Zombie did his reimagining of the series is more gory and brutal and stuff like that, and made Halloween 2 even more bizarre than, had nothing to do with the original Halloween 2. The original Halloween that he remade was basically a shot-for-shot remake with some changes here and there. He added a little backstory for Michael Myers and stuff like that, but that was about it. And then the second one just went off the rails. And there was some other stuff about the first one that was different enough that, it wasn't a shot-for-shot remake, but it had the same general storyline going through it. And you had Malcolm McDowell as the doctor who was after Michael Myers. So then that ended, and so now, what's his name? I have it written here. Danny McBride has written a new take on Halloween, a new version of it, and recast Jamie Lee Curtis's, or brought back Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode character. And Jamie Lee Curtis released a picture of her on the porch of the Myers house with Michael Myers behind her. So we'll see what that's all about. That comes out next year, October 19th, 2018. I don't think they started filming it yet, or if they have, it just started. Which would be appropriate because you want to film a Halloween movie around Halloween. That way you don't have to spend your budget on changing it to look like the fall. That's kind of what they had to do with the original Halloween. The original Halloween was filmed in California, and California doesn't have the seasons that we do. And since Haddonfield's in Indiana, they had to paint leaves and they had to ship in actual leaves from the woods and stuff like that, out in the forest, which were in the climate that would cause them to be reds and oranges and yellows, stuff like that, and truck them in and stuff like that. So it was an interesting take on that. So we'll see how that looks, but we'll get more ideas about it. But as I said, it's still a full year away. They've just started working on it, so we'll probably see more and more about it over the next 6 months or so. Let's see. Because let's talk about a little bit about death. We've got some death, lots of death. First up is death of an inanimate object, Cassini, the probe that's been going around Saturn and exploring all the moons and the rings and measuring stuff, and it's shot back some really cool pictures from the last 5 to 7 to 10 years. I don't know exactly how long Cassini was out there. It was out there for a long time, though, doing exploring. It finished up its mission, and NASA decided instead of it just sort of hanging around out there and having its orbit decay and possibly crashing into one of the many moons that Saturn has that could house life, like Titan or Enceladus, um, they decided they were going to crash it into Saturn. Now, Saturn is a gas giant, so there may or may not be a core in the middle. We don't know because it's a gas giant. It's made literally of gas. And inside also are amazing winds and huge pressure. And so what they decided to do was they decided to send Cassini in basically a suicide drive into Saturn's environment, where it would eventually be crushed by either the winds or the gravitational pull, whatever. But they keep film until they exploded, so you'd be able to see the first few steps of what Saturn's atmosphere looks like. So that'd be really cool. So they did that. So rest in peace, Cassini. You done well, and they've got many plans for the future. So Saturn, that's not the last you're going to see from Saturn. You're going to see a lot more. They are getting more and more interested actually in the moons, like Enceladus and Titan are going to be the ones that are going to be the main focus now of any more probes that go out that way pretty soon. And to be fair, those are the ones that deserve to be, because I think Enceladus is the one that has like the non-stop water geysers that you can see from outer space, because it doesn't have an atmosphere. The gravity's not so big, so you'd be flying past Enceladus and you see the stream of water shooting up off of the surface out into outer space. And then Titan has liquid as well, but it's not water. It's a liquid version of a chemical that I'm not exactly sure what the chemical is, but it also rains gasoline and all kinds of stuff. And they take some pictures of the surface, and it looks like Mars, as as always. But they've also been taking pictures from Cassini and the probe, and they've been taking pictures of all the liquid. They have liquid oceans and lakes and rivers and islands and stuff like that. So it would be really cool to see what they actually look like, instead of just these blobs from outer space, to actually see what the liquid, because they look like there's waves because of the winds on the surface. So we'll see. But yeah, Cassini's done, but they are not ever going to be done with Saturn. This happened last week or earlier in the week or whatever. Len Wein died. He is a comic book god for the most part. He created Wolverine and Giant Size X-Men. He was the writer of that one. So he created Storm, I think, had a hand in that as well, and some other characters too. And he's done a bunch of stuff, and he's written everything under the sun. He was a really good writer in the 60s and 70s, particularly in the 70s and the 80s. I think he had a good run on Batman also, worked for DC a little bit too, and was an editor who brought Watchmen to DC and stuff like that. So good on Len Wein for that, and you rest in peace too. And of course, the big death this week was Harry Dean Stanton, who died yesterday. A character actor, 91 years old, who was one of David Lynch's favorite actors. I think was in almost every one of his movies. I don't think he was in Lost Highway, and I don't know if he was in Mulholland Drive, but he's been in most of David Lynch's movies, and was in the most recent Twin Peaks: The Return series, playing a role he played 25 years earlier in Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me. So, and his role in The Return was fantastic. It was a wonderful performance, and you still get one more performance out of him. He's got a movie called Luck, I think, Luck or Lucky, coming out later this year. So that's his last performance, but at least they got him to do Twin Peaks, and he was in a good number of episodes. He didn't show up to like the 5th or 6th episode, but he was there, and he had a couple of big scenes. He got to interact with Shelley, and he got to blow a whistle that would bring basically like his Uber to pick him up and take him into town. It was really kind of cool, and showed a really good sign of him. His biggest scene was when he saw the kid get hit by that asshole Richard, and saw the kid's soul go up into heaven. And the mother, it's her son, she's devastated, and nobody in the crowd is going out there to comfort her. So he goes out and he comforts her, and it's got a great Angelo Badalamenti theme, and it's fantastic. So that was good. So he was also a lot of people know him more from his role in Pretty in Pink, where he played Molly Ringwald's dad. He also was in Alien, the original one. He was one of the crew members of Alien, and a ton of other movies in the 60s and 70s and so on and so forth. So Harry Dean Stanton, he was 91 years old. Rest in peace. Let's see. A woman has created a scent, a spray scent, that she says can attract Bigfoot. All right, nothing else to say about that. That's a supernatural thing, and my first show I did 4 years ago was about the supernatural with the wonderful Larissa. So that's my supernatural story of the week. What the hell is that? Oh, the first snow of the season. That's right. The S word, snow, S-N-O-W, hit up in like the Montana, Wyoming area. Dumped a couple inches on there, but it was a nice size snowstorm. And they get it around this time of the year anyway. But the actual first snow of the year has now hit. And now it is officially snow season. So not really, because the earliest snow that I remember in this area was late October. We've never had snow in September that I know of, and maybe some in earlier October, but not for like till like mid-October. So, but I do remember one around Halloween where we had snow. It wasn't a lot of snow, but it was a nice little dusting, so that was pretty cool. But the first snow of the season has happened. Let's see. This has been happening a lot lately. The advent of social media and stuff like that, where people can anonymously post things or to make them feel better about themselves and make them think they're smarter than everybody else, and as a prank or joke, whatever, people start spreading around what unfortunately our lame president calls fake news, which has now become a word that everybody uses for that type of stuff. So a lot more fake news has been getting filtered into social media. And, it's one of those things where I've told you the story before, where someone posts, Don Knotts dead at age of 79 or whatever. And people start writing rest in peace, and they remember him from, Three's Company and stuff like that. But if you actually clicked on the column or the article that described it, you would see the date was like 2012, 5 years ago. He's been dead for 5 years. Now, there are some people are like, didn't he already die? I thought I remember him dying before. And a lot of people also, they say, I thought he was dead. So they aren't surprised when, when an older person, actor, celebrity, whatever, dies. A lot of the times what the response is, I thought he was already dead. And what happens is these people, they want to feel like they're superior, so they'll release this story, and they know a lot of people are not going to read the article about it. They just read the headline, and they're like, oh man, so let's rest in peace Don Knotts and stuff like that. So it makes them look like idiots. It's like, well, yeah, he's been dead for 5 years already. Where were your thoughts and prayers before? And then, people call them on, and you also have Snopes.com, which is another good website that'll help you debunk what the fake news is. But had to debunk one today. Actually, there was one I didn't talk about last week, but I'll talk about this week also. So there were two. The biggest one, the one close to my heart, was a article was released saying that Hershey's has discontinued Reese's peanut butter cups, and that's my absolute favorite candy in the world. I knew it wasn't true. I knew it was fake news, and the article is written by a satirical prank artist and stuff like that. So it has typos and doesn't give actual names or locations of where the stuff was stated and stuff like that. And then if you look at the numbers, it would be bad business sense for Hershey, because Reese's peanut butter cups is probably their top selling candy, and it makes them a ton of money every year. So you're not going to kill your cash cow at all. So we knew it was fake. But someone still posted it, and then people still responded to it. They still said, no, what's going on? We need to ban Hershey's, or we need to sign a petition to bring it back. Or they started tagging their friends and stuff like that. And it's like, no. It's not true. So I said, look, go to Snopes.com. You'll see it's not true. I even went to Snopes.com to see for sure it wasn't true. And there's the article right there. Like, nope, it's false story. It's fake news. Earlier in the week, and might have even been last week, there was also a story that's been circulating a little bit. This is like the second or third time I've seen this one, so I knew it was fake when I saw it. But the headline is like NASA claims 15 days of darkness from like November 15th to November 30th. The sun is never going to shine and blah, 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 and stuff like that. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no sun in mid-November for like 15 days. And they state, NASA said this and NASA said that. So you automatically assume, okay, if NASA said it, then it must be true. It's not true. It's not true. Not 24/7 darkness. Yes, there will be darkness on those days. That's what you call nighttime. So people like to feel superior to people, and I've fallen prey to the stuff before, and it's just I can talk about this. It's just ridiculous. True Lies, the James Cameron directed film starring Jamie Lee Curtis, who I mentioned already, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Elijah Dushku also, and Tom Arnold. It's supposedly heading for television. They're going to be doing a TV series, and it made me go, oh, why are you doing this to us? First of all, the movie was, 94, 95? No, it was like 94 because Titanic came out in 97, and it took them a few years to film it. Might have been 93 also, if you think about it. I think it was 94, though. And it was a good movie. It's a really good movie. It's a very interesting movie. It's a different movie, and it's, the premise is, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a CIA agent or whatever, and he couldn't tell his family what he was doing, so he had to pretend to be a computer guy, and he had a boring family life. He had a rebellious daughter played by Elijah Dushku, and his wife was played by Jamie Lee Curtis. Is kind of a mousy, finds her life with her husband boring because that's all he talks about is computers and doesn't do anything exciting. And she's been flirting with a guy played by Bill Paxton who claims to be a spy and is telling her stories and trying to get into her pants and stuff like that. And she's starting to consider it because her life with her husband is just not fulfilling for her. So she's considering having an affair with this guy who lives this adventurous life. But Arnold Schwarzenegger actually lives that life for real, where Bill Paxton's character is just a guy trying to score with chicks. And he uses that story. But that's the premise of the film. It's the joke is that, Jamie Curtis wants excitement in her life, and her husband apparently can't give it to her, so she goes into the arms of a younger guy who has this, claims to be a spy, but in reality it's her husband who's the spy, and things get all messed up, and it becomes like a fun little spy thriller. And it just leads me to believe, what would you do a TV show about? I mean, would it just be a generic spy show, like a Mission Impossible type of thing? I don't know. So let's just say again, it screams of desperation. I don't know. Next weekend, come on down to Baltimore City, the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of next week. It's the weekend. Is the Baltimore Comic-Con. It's one of the biggest Comic-Cons on the Eastern Seaboard. It used to be for the longest time. It used to be the final, con of the summer, and most times creators would be taking a breather from conventions, stuff like that. But because comic books are now popular, they are starting to do more year-round conventions, including the big New York one is coming up in sometime in October, I think. So Baltimore used to be the end of con season, but now it's just one of the better shows for comic book creators and writers and artists. And if you ask any of the popular ones of today, what are your top 5 conventions? Baltimore usually is in the top 5 in some form or another because it is more comic book oriented. It's not like San Diego Comic-Con or even the New York Comic-Con. It focuses on the comic books, though. They have been opening it up more to more media people. They've got more media people this year than they had before, but you need to, I guess, you want to spread the wealth a little bit because you just do. I mean, they can still make they can still have about 120,000 people show up over the weekend, but they need something a little bit different because it's the same thing every year. You dress in your costume, you go downstairs, you look at all the comics, you buy T-shirts, stuffed animals, models, whatever you need. Then you go and you talk to the writers and artists, get them to sign stuff, whatever, and then you maybe go to a couple of the events they have there, and then that's it, and you leave. But now you're adding this little extra dimension of media people, including Iron Fist is going to be the actor who plays Iron Fist is going to be at the convention this year, as is Linda Carter, who played Wonder Woman. She's actually going to be doing a concert. So they've had to open the doors a little bit more toward media stuff, but it's still one of comic book writers and artists' favorite shows. It's very well done, and it makes a lot of money, and it has a lot of people, and that is next weekend. I don't know if I'll be going to it next weekend, to be honest. I've gone with my family before, and we've just walked around. We've waited in, like last year, we waited in line for like an hour and a half to get tickets, and then we were out of there within like an hour because, there's a lot of people, and the kids really aren't interested. They want to see the people dressed in costumes and stuff, but they're bored usually at the event, and that doesn't allow me to go and talk to writers and artists or people that I used to work with when I worked at Diamond who were at the event. I have to stick with them, and then they get bored and they want to leave, and then I was like, okay, we'll leave, and so it's kind of a waste. So I don't know if I'll be going this year. We'll see. Man, I'm getting tired, so I'm going to try to plow through this and get over it. Let's talk some one more thing, and then we'll talk some personal stuff, and then we'll do some anniversary stuff, and then we'll leave. So we've been on for almost an hour. Well, no, a little bit less than an hour right now. Almost there, though. If you've seen my show with MJ Khan, which talks about comic books, we've talked about how great the graphic novel Strangers in Paradise is. The series Strangers in Paradise was by Terry Moore, and it's fantastic. And the new issues, new storylines coming out next year, I think. So that's a big thing too. But just found out this week that director Angela Robinson, who's directing the biopic about the creator of Wonder Woman, which is coming out later this fall, is going to be directing a big screen version of Strangers in Paradise, which is cool, and I'm glad it's getting done, and it's done by someone who has the passion for it. And Terry Moore knows the woman and extremely happy with the choice and stuff like that. But Strangers in Paradise is the type of show that it's so dense and so has so many great character developments and beats, stuff like that. It needs to be a TV series, not a movie. It ain't going to be a TV series, though, so. Oh, wow. Excuse me. But it is going to be a movie. And if they can cast it right and they don't skimp on it and they just maybe do the first story arc or whatever and set up for sequels, then okay, maybe it'll be all right. But I would prefer a TV show for Strangers in Paradise, but what do I know? All right, a bunch of personal stuff going on this weekend. I took a trip down memory lane today. For those who have been watching the show, my stepdad passed away on September 6th from cancer. And I've been checking on my mom and making sure she's okay. My mom is fine, nothing to worry about. She's been getting lots of visitors and lots of flowers and condolences and food and stuff like that. And she's doing absolutely fine. She's cleaning the house out. My stepdad had a lot of stuff, and she's also, been wanting to get rid of it for a while, but now she can get rid of it. So she wanted me to come over and also to see the grandkids too, to go through the stuff that Roger still had before my mom decides to throw it out. So my stepdad was an avid reader. He has a huge collection of books. I'm not going through all of them because there's so many books, but he did have a bunch of first edition Stephen King hardcovers. I mean, we're talking like first editions of Christine and The Dead Zone and The Shining and stuff like that. And I took ones that I want, but as you can see, we got a bunch of junk in the back of our house anyway. So we don't have really room for it, but I had to get a couple of these first editions, including I got the first edition of The Gunslinger and also the first edition of The Shining. So I had to go ahead and do that. And I wanted to get the first edition of it, but I think my nephew wants it, so I'm gonna let him have it. So one of the things that my mom had brought up was a bunch of stuff that I had left there when I moved out, and it was stuff from college and middle school and high school a little bit. I found my middle school yearbooks, and it was really interesting looking through them and seeing the people I knew back then and remembering them. Luckily, I talked about the negative of the social media before, but one of the positives about social media is I'm in contact with a lot of the people I went to elementary, middle, and high school with. And I was looking at some of their pictures and laughing about it, and I threatened to post a picture of my friend Ivy, and she's like, "Yeah, go ahead, it's fine." So I might have to end up doing that tomorrow. The yearbooks are out in the car right now. I didn't bring them in yet. I also saw the senior issue of my college newspaper. My senior year of college, I was a columnist for our monthly newspaper, maybe bi-weekly. I forget. I think it was monthly newspaper. And it was the senior issue, and I was actually also one of the spotlight students that got picked to have a front page story told about them. And we answered a bunch of questions that a interviewer asked us. And then I wrote my column, which was like a thank you and a goodbye to all these people. So that made me think of a lot of stuff, and lots of people who I had on social media, like, how do I know this person again? And then I realized I knew them a lot better than I thought I did, and I just don't remember them, But it was just fun going through that. Also had some of the articles I wrote for my high school newspaper. I was also an editor and did some pages and editing for the pages there, and design and stuff like that. And that was a lot of fun seeing some of that. And then there's just a bunch of junk and stuff like that. But my mom also dug up a bunch of old pictures of Roger, which I'd never seen before, and it was great to see him much younger, without his mustache, and just looking back at a better time when he was still alive and healthy. It was nice to see those. So that's all good. I need to just think about that. So I had a little bit of a flashback today. I looked through those. I looked through some CDs and videos that Roger had, also stuff that we'd given him before for holidays and birthdays and stuff like that. And my mom doesn't want to hold on to them, which is fine. And she's got a lot of stuff that I'm betting if she just took her time, focused on it, she could probably make a lot of money out of it, because my stepdad loved his books, and a lot of them might be first editions and might be worth a lot of money. So I don't know. We've got this upcoming week is going to be the beginning of our almost busy time, because the kids still aren't playing basketball. They're not going to be playing that till probably October, November. But right now, the week is getting filled with stuff. Monday, CCD returns, which is religious education. It'll be my son's first time in the Monday evening CCD, religious education. It'll be my daughter's third year. And that could be interesting. So we got to get the kids, lunches or dinner, and then take them over there. And so my wife and I are going to have some private time from 7 to about 8:15. So that'll be fun. Tuesday, my son and my wife do Cub Scouts. My wife is the co-den leader of my son's Cub Scout troop. So every Tuesday they have meetings. So, and I think this Tuesday, is a meeting afterwards, which I'm going to have to pick up my son, while my wife has to be in another meeting after the Boy Scout meeting. Wednesday, my daughter has signed up for Drama Kids, which is a drama club in the evenings at the local church right down the street from us. So that'll be different and that'll be interesting. Thursday is Girl Scouts for my daughter every other week. So they did Girl Scouts this past week, so we're not going to do it this week. It'll be the week after. So we got that going on, and that's right after school. It was funny. Her fourth grade teacher, her homeroom teacher, was also her scout leader, and she still is a scout leader now for her Girl Scouts. So she's just going to go back to that classroom and do that. And then Friday, my son is taking hip hop dance, and he took a course during the summer. And the first class, he was the only student who showed up. And so Miss Jessica, who's one of the teachers, had a private lesson with him, and he absolutely loved it. So we were so happy when we discovered that Intro to Hip Hop at the dance studio, which is going to go all year long, which is going to culminate in the recital in May, is run by Miss Jessica. So he's able to be with Miss Jessica again. He had his first dance class on Friday, this past Friday, and he nailed it yesterday. It was yesterday, and he nailed it. He was fantastic. He loved it. So good on him. Speaking of Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, popcorn and Girl Scout cookie sales are underway. If you want some stuff, you can tweet me at Holodill or at Dylan Proco, or go to at Dawn Snarks and order what you want from the Girl Scout cookies and the popcorn for the Cub Scouts. So we've got both of them going concurrently. Noah did a outdoor sales event today, and is going to do another one tomorrow. So it's a good way to get money. They made over $100 today, just the two, just my wife and my son, selling popcorn. So that he's on the right path right now. It just started, so he's got a long ways to go. And if he can pull that off every week, he's going to be in really good shape. So good on those. So yeah, we cleaned out a bunch of stuff from my mom's house today. A bunch of stuff she's trying to get rid of and throw out. So we're going to take care of that as well. So that's going to be an ongoing process till we get it the way she wants it. So over the next couple months, we'll probably be going over there a bunch of times and taking care of that. So that being said, that's all the regular stuff I got to talk about. What time is it? It's been 1 hour, so I'll just talk a little bit about a few things. I was going to do a bunch of anniversary stuff, and while I was doing the research for it, I realized there's not really a lot of really interesting things, or I don't know really how I would go about it. So what I think I'm just going to do is I think I'm just going to read a bunch of movies which are celebrating their anniversaries this year, and then I'll talk about some of the movies, not all of them, and some of the music. One music in particular. But 1987 these movies are 30 years old. So these films came out 30 years ago. So time to make you feel old. Mannequin, Lethal Weapon, Tin Men, Raising Arizona, Secret of My Success, Harry and the Hendersons, Predator, Roxanne, Dragnet, Spaceballs, Adventures in Babysitting, Inner Space, RoboCop, Summer School, Lost Boys, Stakeout, Monster Squad, Fatal Attraction, Real Men, Princess Bride, Baby Boom, Fatal Beauty, Running Man, Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, Three Men and a Baby, Wall Street, Overboard, and Good Morning Vietnam are all 30 years old. Some good movies on there, a lot of classics in there. You can feel even older. 20 years ago, these films are 20 years old. Fierce Creatures, Dante's Peak, Absolute Power, Fools Rush In, Jungle to Jungle, Private Parts, Liar Liar. What the hell is that? Don't know. Chasing Amy, The Saint, Gross Point Blank, Murder 1600, Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion. I don't know that one. Austin Powers, Fifth Element, Lost World, Con Air, Face Off, Men in Black is 20 years old, Contact, Air Force One, Picture Perfect, Jackie Brown, Mouse Hunt, another one I can't read, Amistad, Scream 2, Goodwill Hunting, Alien Resurrection, Anastasia, Starship Troopers, Gattaca, I Know What She Did Last Summer, The Peacemaker, In and Out, Uh, no idea. Mimic, The Game, Event Horizon, and The Full Monty. Those are all 20 years old. 35 years old, Swamp Thing, Diner, Porky's, Conan the Destroyer, Pennies from Heaven, Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, Rocky 3, Poltergeist, Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan, E.T., Grease 2, Annie, Black Rain, The Thing, Secret of Nim, Tron, Zapped, Night Shift, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Beastmaster, Officer and a Gentleman, Pink Floyd, The Wall, Creep Show, 48 Hours, Airplane 2, The Toy, The Dark Crystal, and Tootsie. 1977, 40 years ago, Annie Hall, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, The Deep, Eraserhead, High Anxiety, Jabberwocky, Kentucky Fried Movie, Oh God, Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown, Roots, Saturday Night Fever, Slapshot, Smoking the Bear, Spider-Man the TV show, and some movie called Star Wars. Not sure exactly what that's about. 1967, the 50th anniversary of movies. Not many of those. Dirty Dozen, In the Heat of the Night, Bonnie and Clyde, The Jungle Book, Cool Hand Luke, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, Valley of the Dolls, Dr. Dolittle, The Graduate, I think To Sir with Love also is 50 years old. And then 10 years ago, we had The Mist, Golden Compass, I Am Legend, National Treasure 2, Sweeney Todd, There Will Be Blood, Ghost Rider, Wild Hogs, Zodiac, 300, Blades of Glory, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle computer animated movie that had the voices of Chris Evans, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Kevin Smith, and Patrick Stewart, which is really interesting. Grindhouse, Hot Fuzz, Spider-Man 3, 28 Weeks Later, Shrek 3, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, which is another third movie, Knocked Up, No Country for Old Men, American Gangsters, Ocean's 13, Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, 1408, Beowulf, Live Free and Die Hard, Ratatouille, Transformers, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix is 10 years old, Hairspray the musical, I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, Simpsons movie is 10 years old, Born Ultimatum, and Rush Hour 3, another 3, Super Bad, Balls of Fury, The Brave One, 30 Days of Night, Gone Baby Gone, and I can't read that last one. So those are like all the main movies that are between 50 and like 10 years old. I didn't go full on because I didn't exactly know how I was going to do it or what I was going to do with this episode. I was going to maybe sit down and talk about each one of those movies, but that's going to take forever. So only pick and choose a couple of them, the bigger ones. Star Wars, we'll talk about some other time. We're going to actually do a 40th anniversary show with a bunch of people sometime down the line, maybe closer to when The Last Jedi comes out in December. We'll probably do something like that. We'll talk about E.T. real quick. E.T. came out 35 years ago. It was 1982. And what's interesting about that movie was I didn't see it right away. Now, I'm one of the biggest movie buffs guys you'll ever see. And for whatever reason, I never saw it. Now, you got to remember, 1982, there was very few movie theaters, and most of them only had one, maybe two movie theater screens. And plus, there was really no DVD or video. So this was kind of really the only time you could see this movie is in the movie theater. And then you'd have to wait like 4 years, 3 years maybe, to get cut to pieces and put on television. And then eventually they created the VCR and the videotapes and DVDs and stuff like that. So then you could start buying the movies and enjoying them at home. But in 82, you really couldn't do that. You had to wait till the movies were maybe re-released in movie theaters or wait a few years until they were released on network television. And then it became a big deal when the TV stations aired these movies because it was like the first time you might have seen it in years. Excuse me. So, but E.T. was a phenomenon. In 1982, it was a humongous phenomenon. Everybody wanted to see it. It was, at one time, the highest grossing movie of all time, and actually stayed that way for a really long time, I think, until 1996. So let's look at it this way: 82 to 96, 82 to 92 is 10 years. For 14 years, it held that position as being the highest grossing movie of all time. And then Titanic came in and took it over. But everybody in the world saw it. It helped build up Reese's Pieces, which is a really interesting story also, because Spielberg originally went to M&M's and said, hey, you want to be product placement in this movie that I'm doing, I think is going to be very successful, and it'd be a good way to get people to buy your candy. And they said something along the lines of, we don't believe our candy should be in the hands of aliens or something like that. I'm not exactly sure the story, but there was a story behind why they decided not to do it. So when Hershey's found out about that, they came up with something really quick, very similar to M&M's, called Reese's Pieces. And they went to E.T. and said, here, you can have these. They're pretty much the same as M&M's, except they've got our classic peanut butter in it. And the police officers took bites and said, yeah, this is pretty good. Not police officers, the movie company people took bites of it and said, hey, this is pretty damn good. And it made itself into the movie theater, and it became one of the highest grossing movies and highest grossing candies of all time. And Reese's Pieces are still out nowadays. The newest thing now is they're being stuffed in the Reese's peanut butter cups, which is actually really good. It actually is a good combination to have that in there. So that's really, really kind of cool. But everybody went crazy for the movie, and everybody saw it multiple times, stuff like that. I didn't see it. I don't know why. For whatever reason, it wasn't interesting me or whatever, and I wasn't that interested in it. Now, in 1982, I was 9 years old. Hold on. Yeah, I was 9 years old. And my grandparents were still alive, and they were still active, so they took a vacation, and we stayed at their house to make sure nothing happened to it. My dad had to stay up at our house because he was doing summer school, but my mom took me and my sister down to my grandparents' house because they lived near Washington, D.C. Plus, my grandfather had access to Andrews Air Force Base's giant swimming pool. So we could spend like a week down there during the summer and just have a blast. And my mom would still be watching her parents' house, and we'd be able to go to Washington, D.C. and go to this pool and do all this fun stuff. Of course, yeah, we missed our dad, but I think he might have come down a couple times to see us. But one day we were trying to, and this was back in August of 82, and so the movie was starting to wind up a little bit. So it had already made all its money, and it was a big deal and all that stuff. So for whatever reason, we decided when we were down in Washington, D.C., hey, we need to go see a movie. How about this E.T. movie we've heard so much about? So me, my sister, and my mom went to see E.T. in a empty movie theater. There might have been one or two other people in there, and it was great. It was fantastic. But I was late to the party, and I liked it and enjoyed it. And then when it came back on, I watched it again and stuff like that, and it was fantastic. So that's my E.T. story. That was 35 years ago. That was pretty cool. And I now own a copy of it. I didn't get the copy, or I did get the copy that was sort of the updated version of it, where they erased all the guns and replaced it with walkie-talkies. But Spielberg was smart. He released both versions on this DVD, and so I bought that one, and I watched the original one because I like the original one. Now the 35th anniversary edition of E.T. is out in DVDs and Amazon right now. So if you don't have E.T. or you need to upgrade your copy, now might be the best time, because it is its 35th anniversary edition video of E.T. So go ahead and pick that up if you want. It's well worth it. Speaking of aliens and Spielberg, E.T. was not the first foray that Spielberg took in aliens. He took a foray into Close Encounters of the third kind, rather. And that means alien abduction, because there are 4 different levels of Close Encounters. Close Encounters of the first kind, I think, is when you see a UFO in the sky and take pictures of it, and that's it. The second one is Close Encounters of the second kind, I think, is when you actually see like beings exiting the ship and walking around, or if you see something strange on the street, walking around, that could be a close encounter of the second kind. The close encounter of the third kind is more along the lines of, abducting people and taking them on board ship, and you had a physical confrontation one-on-one with these aliens. And I think that's what the third kind means. And I think fourth kind is, total proof and acceptance that aliens exist, stuff like that. But Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out. It's the 40th anniversary. I don't remember seeing it in the movie theaters. We very well might not have, because we didn't really go in the movies that much in 1977. We saw Star Wars. That's because everybody else in the world was also. We may have seen Close Encounters in the movie theater. I honestly don't remember, but I've seen it on network TV before, cut to pieces, and I've also bought the video and watched it numerous times uncut. So I enjoy that. So Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 40th anniversary is this year as well. So good on that also. I'm really tired because I'm probably not even going to do, I might do an hour and a half. I'm getting close to that, but that might be about it. So I think the final anniversary I'm going to talk about before I leave for the day. Let's double check here, see if there's anything else that jumps out at me. Nope. Yeah, there's 2 REM albums. REM is my favorite band of all time. Document is 30 years old, and Automatic for the People is 25 years old. So let me just see if I can maybe find Document also, and we'll talk about that as well. Back again. So we're going to talk a little REM now. REM, as everybody out there knows, is my favorite band of all time. Their album Document is 30 years old this year. And it's one of their better earlier albums before they went to Warner Brothers. This is one of the last ones that IRS did. And this is really the album that, got them into people's minds a little bit. They hit it big with Out of Time, which was a few years later. But this and then Green, which came after it, were the ones that really got people thinking, hey, this is a pretty good band. Maybe we should pay attention to them. And that led to Out of Time coming and just breaking box office sound records. But there are 11 tracks on Document, and they're all really good. It's one of their more political ones because they've always been kind of political. And I'll just do a quick rundown on them. The first track is Finest Work Song, which is one of the best songs REM ever did. It's in my top 20, I think. If you go to my top 108 REM, which I got to actually do some updating on because it was a playlist I did, and a bunch of the videos I did have been deleted. So I got to go find other versions of it and put it in my list. But I have the list written down, so I'll be able to find it and do it. So I'll probably end up doing that this week sometime. But Finest Work Song is one of the greatest REM songs out there, and it's a great first song to kick it off. The second one is Welcome to the Occupation, which is, again, another highly political one. So it's Finest Work Song for the most part. But it's another excellent 1-2 punch with Finest Work Song. Welcome to the Occupation is amazing, fantastic, and I really can't describe it anymore. And then, boom, we get a third straight really good one. Exhuming McCarthy, which is even more political than the other two, talking about Joseph McCarthy and the communist stuff that happened in the 50s, and talking and applying it to what's going on this is during George Bush's era, right? Reagan it would still be Reagan. 30 years was 87, so Reagan was wrapping up his two terms, and Bush was getting ready to take over as president in 88 when he got elected. But yeah, Exhuming McCarthy is fantastic. Then up comes Disturbance at the Heron House, which is a weird sounding title, but it's another really, really good song. and it's a lot of fun. Strange, the fifth track, I don't really remember much about it. I know a little bit about it, but it's one of their slower, darker ones, and I don't think it made it onto my list. But it's still not a bad one. I mean, you could put Document on your DVD and just put it on repeat and have it play over and over and over again, and it would be fantastic. Everyone knows track 6. Actually, track 6 and track 7 are the two biggest ones from this album. Track 6 is "It's the End of the World as We Know It" and "I Feel Fine," and that's the one that you hear playing all the time on all these radio stations, and like the Jack and stuff like that. They play it once a day or once every few days, but it's up there, and it's what we call one of Michael Stipe's list songs, where he just goes and just lists a bunch of stuff that's unconnected and adds music to it, and it's really interesting. And really interesting, off topic on that, is talking about going down memory lane. In my final column I did in my college column, I broke down my 4 years in college and talked about my friends that year. One of them was my roommate Jared, my freshman year. He decided to pledge the Alpha Chi Rho fraternity, and one of the things he had to do as his, as a pledge is, for whatever reason, I guess because they knew about me and they knew my obsession with REM, they said that he had to write out every single lyric from REM's "It's the End of the World as I Know It and I Feel Fine," which is really hard to do because it's so fast, and also Michael Stipe sometimes slurs the words, so you don't really know what he's trying to say. So my roommate Jared had to break it down, and it took him a long time to figure out. He asked me questions if I knew what the lyrics were, and this is, I think later on in REM's history, they started posting the lyrics, but they never posted the lyrics in the CDs or on the albums. So we just had to go with what was on the album. So I guess he did it because he got into Alpha Chi Rho, so he must have done fine. Track 7 is the one I love, which is another song that is highly misunderstood, similar to "Every Breath You Take" by The Police, which is a song about stalking. In this case, the one I love, which a lot of people put as a love song, it really isn't. If you listen to the lyrics, he's talking about treating his lover as just another prop, and then dumping them and getting another prop, that type of thing. But Que Sera, it's a fun song. It's a really good rock song, and it's one of their more popular ones they've ever done. Then we got 4 kind of bizarre ones. We have "Fireplace," which is a really fun little one about, dancing in an empty room by throwing everything into the fireplace and stuff like that. It's some cool stuff. "Lightning Hopkins" is one of their historical songs. I don't know much about it because I'm not a big fan of Lightning Hopkins. The song didn't make it to my list, but it's still one of their history ones about a myth or a tall tale or a legend down the South about a guy named Lightning Hopkins. "King of Birds" is okay. That's track 10. And "Oddfellows Local 151" is a bizarre little film, or bizarre little song. So that's Document. It's well worth it. As I said, it's one of those albums you can just put on your CD player or in the car and just run it on repeat and just run the whole thing, and you'll like all the songs. I'm sorry, I'm getting ready to cough again. Give me. But the final thing we're going to talk about tonight, because we're just about to hit the hour and a half mark, and this might take us a little while, because this is by far my favorite REM album of all time. If you had to sit me down and you said, "What's your favorite REM album of all time?" I would have to say it's "Automatic for the People." And "Automatic for the People" is celebrating its 25th anniversary this month. And they've announced plans to do a 25th anniversary edition of a re-release of the album. So I might have to pick it up with new material and pick that up and see what it's about. But "Automatic for the People" is my all-time favorite REM album. It came out after Out of Time. So at this point, Out of Time put REM into the stratosphere as being one of the most successful rock bands of all time. And so everybody was excited for its follow-up album, Out of Time. And they did not at all disappoint. It was basically about a year or so later they released this this album, and it just kept them up in that upper echelon. It was their second most popular album of all time on That for the People was. And this came right at the height of their huge popularity, their winning of their Grammy Awards and their video awards and all this stuff, and their concerts selling out, and them becoming pop culture phenomenons and appearing in, being mentioned in the TV show Friends and in the book series Amelia Rules and stuff like that. So it made a lot of, really interesting pop culture references, and in singles, shows up in singles and stuff like that. So, but this is my favorite album of all time. And I love every one of the songs on this except for number 9, which is Star Me Kitten, but I'll get that in a second. Starts off Drive. Drive is this really slow song that starts building and building and building, and I think was actually the first single that was released off of the album. And people were like, oh man, this is really good. They didn't miss a step from Out of Time, and that's what drew them to this. 2, Try Not to Breathe is one of these another really dark, depressing type of songs, but it's fantastic. I mean, it's great to listen to. It's thought-provoking, and just the music itself is phenomenal. 3, The Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight takes a little bit of a riff from The Lion Sleeps Tonight, and is the first more upbeat song of the album, and gets your juices flowing a little bit. Not quite as much as, say, Shiny Happy People did in Out of Time, but it's a bit more subtle when it comes to the happy part of the song, but it's an upbeat tempoed song. And then you follow that up with probably the most dark, depressing song of the album, which became the 3rd single from the album. Drive was first, Man on the Moon, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, was second, and Everybody Hurts was third. This is a maudlin, whiny, everybody hurts, and you have the bridge where everybody in the car is stopped on the bridge, and when the camera looks at them, it shows what they're depressed about and why they're sad. And it's a sad, depressing song. And then right near the end, about a minute before the song ends, you've got this na 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 na, this quiet, slow build up, stuff like that. They stop singing, and the music starts to crescendo a little bit more and gets a little happier, as in the video everybody's getting out of their car saying, we don't need this anymore, let's make our lives better, and starts walking off the bridge. It's just such a great shot of in the video, the band members walking towards the camera when it's shot over them, and it's really, really great. So Everybody Hurts is a really dark, depressing song, and it's one of those that I skip because it's not my favorite, but I like it, kind of, and it adds to one. This is another one of the albums you just slip on your DVD and just keep it on repeat, even though Star Me Kitten is very grating to me. Then you get one of their first, well, they think they had an instrumental Out of Time, but yeah, they did. They do another Out of Times was Endgame. This one was New Orleans instrumental number 1. Which is as I said, is an instrumental. There's no lyrics, except like you do kind of hear Michael Stipe going la 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 la, but that's it. There's no other lyrics except that, and it's just sort of it's an instrumental piece, so it's nice. But it segues very well into number 6, which is Sweetness Falls, which is a dun 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 dun. Another one of those kind of depressing type of songs, because the album Out of Time was a little bit more upbeat. I'm not for people a little bit more downbeat, but it's not bad downbeat. It's not like, oh my God, this is so downbeat, I'm going to kill myself. No, it's just the songs are down a little bit, not as happy, but they're still really good. And Sweetness Falls is one of those other excellent ones. Then you've got a kind of one of their bizarre songs, Monty Got a Raw Deal, which is about Monty Hall, I think, the game show host. and they talk a little bit. I guess that he had some weird stuff happen in his life, and they talk about that in the song. They're always good at making these like historical songs, like Lightning Hopkins, as I said, and this one, and there's a few other ones that they've released as well, that are songs about actual people who existed and were real and weren't made up in the minds of Michael Stipe and REM. Then you have Ignoreland, which is more of their upbeat rocking song, which is also highly political. I mean, it is the most political song on this CD, and it is hugely political, but it's actually not bad. It's a pretty good song. A lot of people don't like it, but it's got a really good beat, and you can dance to it. And then there's Stormy Kitten. It's the only bad part about this album is Stormy Kitten, and the name Stormy Kitten comes from the Rolling Stones, actually, because the Rolling Stones wanted to use the word fuck for one of their song lyrics, but the people are like, you can't use that. You just can't. You can't say fuck me or whatever. You got to say something else. So they came up with Star. I don't know why. It's just something they came up with, the Rolling Stones did. So it became sort of the go-to for musicians who wanted to say fuck and actually do say fuck in the song. Stormy Kitten is basically a song about a guy trying to get a woman to fuck him, basically. Stormy Kitten, it's fuck me kitten. Now, the funniest thing is on one of the collections that they did down the line, a few years after this one, when REM their stock started to dip a little bit, and they said, hey, we need to get out an album that reminds people about how good they were, and it collected a bunch of their biggest hits from all their albums. They did and then they did a bunch of different new tracks, and it was a two disc best of REM album, and they did a version of Stormy Kitten, which actually I liked. It has the author. Oh, what's his name? Oh, it's an author, a famous author, who basically reads the song. It's got the background music for Stormy Kitten going on in the background, but the famous writer is reading the lyrics like he's talking to, like I'm talking. You can fuck me, kitten, and it'll be swell. That's he was reading it like that. It was, and it's not Shatner. This is an author's name, and I can't remember who it is. But he's a famous author, kind of a surrealist type of author. I can't think of what his name is, but it's so funny just hearing him speak it instead of sing it. And actually, it makes it a much more entertaining song when he's speaking it and REM isn't singing it. So while Stormy Kitten is not my favorite on this album, if you go to the best of and you hear that author, which I swear to God is going to kill me if I can't think. I got to figure this. I think it's William S. Burroughs, actually. I'd almost bet that it's William S. Burroughs. Let me see if there's a Stormy Kitten redirected from Automatic for the People. But yeah, I gotta see if they talk about. I think it's William S. Burroughs is the guy who is the one who does the what do I call it, the spoken word version of the album. I'm almost certain it is William S. Burroughs. Let's just see if it pops up in this thing. I'm glad I thought of it. No, it's not in this description, but it's such a great spoken word version of it, and just the way William S. Burroughs reads it is fantastic. And you get you got the background music for Stormy Kitten in there. It's actually really good. So I like that version better than this one, which is a shame, because then you jump into my second favorite song of the album, and the one that really got them made this song. I think this song made this album hugely popular. Is "Man on the Moon," which is again one of these songs that's about a real person. It's about Andy Kaufman, and "Man on the Moon" is my #1 REM song of all time on my list, only because I like the other um, uh, um, Andy Kaufman song, "The Great Beyond," better, but The Great Beyond is not done by all 4 members of REM. This was Great Beyond was after Bill Berry left, and instead I chose that because I wanted to get REM as REM had the #1 thing, but Great Beyond is so close behind it, and it's another song about Andy Kaufman. I like Great Beyond a little bit better, but I had to make it #2 on my list because I had to put an actual REM with all 4 members song in there, and "Man on the Moon," it fits it perfectly. Even if I decided I wasn't going to go that way, it would have been #2 on my list, so it doesn't matter. It's interchangeable. So, but it's a greatest. I sang it at karaoke a couple of years ago at my business's Christmas party. It was at the end of the night, so nobody was really paying attention, but I got to sing it, which was really cool. And it was, I think, the song that really got people to buy the album. And then they played it, and then they discovered they liked Drive, and they liked Everybody Hurts, and they liked Night Swimming, which is the next song after "Man on the Moon. And it's a song about skinny dipping in the old days. And it's another one of these maudlin, reminiscing, sad type songs, but it's got kind of a happiness to it as well, because it's about your loss of innocence, and now that you're all grown up, your memories of these times when you were younger and this loss of innocence permeating your brain. And that's what Night Swimming is about. And because of that song and "Man on the Moon" and "Sweetness Follows" and "Sidewalk Sleeps Tonight" and "Try Not to Breathe" and "Dry" and "Monte Got a Raw Deal" and "Ignore," all those songs got this album to be as good as Out of Time and made as much money as Out of Time, and got them REM to say, hey, they've done 2 great albums in a row. They belong in the upper echelon of great rock bands of all time, and they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And finally, my second favorite song on this CD is "Find the River." It's the last one. It's a nice, again, reminiscing type of song about life on the river, actually. But again, it's kind of a maudlin, depressing type of song, but it's done in such a style that you don't feel depressed after it. It's just sort of more of a whimsical memory is coming out about, again, life when you were younger and how it was better and stuff like that. But I think I might play "Find the River" tonight before I go to bed, because it's still my second favorite song on the CD. So "Automatic for the People" is my favorite REM song album of all time. It's 25 years old this year. I think I'm done. Not very exciting, I know, for a end of my 4th year, because I started in 2013, so 2013, 2014, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2016, 2017. So I've been doing this for 4 years. It's New Year's Eve. New Year's Day starts next week, where we enter my 5th year as doing Dylan Knows. That will be episode 260, which will be this time next year. So come on back here next year at this time, and you'll be seeing Dylan Knows episode 260. I don't know who's going to be on it, but it'll be my 5th year anniversary show. So thank you, all the viewers who have watched the show before in the 4 years, who are, I guess, still kind of watching it, even though my numbers are low. Start spreading the news about my show. If you want to see any of my shows or any of my playlists, go to my YouTube channel. Type in my name, Dylan Lange, Lange, into the YouTube search bar. It should be the first one that pops up, because I'm one of the only active ones that has a lot of videos and still active. And you'll see my avatar, me and my my ninja shirt says, you know, I'm ninja, you can't see me, with the thumbs up type of thing. You won't miss it. You click on that. Check out all my playlists. Go to my Dylan Knows playlist. You'll see every episode of Snark Alc Radio I was in, every episode of Dylan Knows I've done. You'll also see a playlist for The Assistant, has every episode in it, as well as all the after shows in it. So check that out before The Return comes out. I will be re-releasing them before The Return comes out next year, so you'll be able to watch them then. But if you want to watch them before then, I said go to my page. If you want to see, if you like REM, my 108 REM songs of all time, as I said, I gotta fix it because a bunch of them got deleted. So I have to find my list, and this week I've got to add new videos of those, which isn't going to be too bad because REM has its own YouTube channel now, so it's run by REM's people, and they've been releasing every album, every song from every album periodically. So they would release all of Green and all of Automatic for the People videos. So every track, 1 through 12, you would see it's a generic vid playlist. It's just this picture with the music in the background, the name of the song next to it. And so it'd be Find the River, and you click on that and it would play Find the River, and all it would show would be this, and then it would end. So it's perfect for playlists. So I got to dig up the ones that I got deleted out and put new ones in. So you can check what I got in there now. There's about 5 or 6 that are deleted that I got to add into, which I'll do this week. They're in the way back in the 80s and 90s. So, you know, you'll be able to see the top ones up there. So actually, let me just check it real quick to see how many of Automatic for the Peoples is in the top 20. Man on the Moon, Find the River, not as much as I thought there would be. I thought it was higher up. There's only 2 right now, and then, oh well, I thought there was more than that. Drive, Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight. I thought Sweetness Follows. So it's about, yeah, and now we're getting into the later one. So we'll see what happens. So definitely check it out. Well worth it. Hey, there's me. So sleep well, everybody. I'm going to sleep because I'm exhausted right now. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for making these 4 years tolerable. Next week we start entering my 5th week. I'm aiming for my Jerry Fletcher show, where we're going to talk about the top 10 best villains in movies, I guess. But she hasn't contacted me yet, so if she doesn't contact me, I might be doing another solo one, or I might pull MJ Con out because it will be Baltimore Comic-Con weekend and we can talk comics or whatever. And maybe I'll see you at the Baltimore Comic-Con, which is upcoming weekend, the 26th, the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, downtown Baltimore Convention Center. It's going to be huge. It's going to be a lot of creators and lots of vendors and lots of cosplay. So definitely come check it out. And then, you know, when you're done, check out the Inner Harbor. We're right about 2 blocks away from the Inner Harbor. So it's worth coming down for that. As I said, watch me sometime next week as year 5 starts off next week. I don't know when or who's going to be on it, but just keep an eye out. Be careful, sleep well, have a great weekend, and thank you for these 4 years. Bring on year 5.